Hey amigos, ¿qué tal? ¿Qué tal? Buenas. Feliz miércoles. Happy Wednesday. Today I wanted to talk about the four skills. The four skills that we need to really pay attention to in order to make progress in Spanish, right? I don't think I've ever talked about each and every one of these skills, but all of them are important, right? I feel like the problem sometimes is that we only train one or two, maybe three of them, but not all of them. And the biggest change, amigos, happens when you can combine all these skills and train them consistently, like all of them, without overlooking, without ignoring any. Each and every one of these skills need to be trained consistently, and each of them need to be honored. The same, right? There is no preferences, right? Typically, when we learn Spanish, right, when we learn a language, we go the easier route, right? At least that was my experience. When I started learning, I felt that listening was easier. And again, I don't think I've said this already, but there are active skills and there are passive skills, right? There is a total of four, right? There's four skills, but some of these skills are active, some are passive. Do you think you can tell me which are the active ones and which are the passive ones? I'm gonna tell you right now. The active ones are speaking and writing, right? You're producing. When you're speaking, you're producing, right? When you're writing, you're also producing, right? You need a pen, you need a paper, and you need to create and process the information in your mind before you come up with the outcome, right? Same for speaking, right? Same for speaking. You need to actually use your voice, right? Move your mouth to create something, to produce, the language, right? So it's very active. Speaking and writing, they're both very active, right? Now, we also have passive skills, right? The passive skills are easier in a way, right? They're still helpful, right? I'm not saying that they're not. I'm not saying that you should stop completely doing them. No, I'm saying you need to be aware of what you're doing. And that's why I'm explaining each and every one. I'm explaining them to you, each and every one of them, so that you understand how to use them better, how to use them properly, right? So you have the active skills and you have the passive ones. The passive ones are writing, and no, that's an active one. The passives are listening, right? It's easy to listen to. You can just, you can be driving, you can be just laying down on your bed and still consume the language, right? But it's passive. You don't need to do much to listen to Spanish, right? To listen to music. And the other passive one is reading, right? You're just using your eyes, to read. You can even be sitting down. You can, I guess you can be sitting down and still speak, but there is more of an effort because you have to think more when you speak or when you write. But when you read, it's more about consuming the information rather than to produce it. You know what I mean? So again, passive skills, active skills, amigos. Now, that's why I'm making this video today, to teach you how you can use all of the skills in combination without overlooking any of them, without ignoring any of them. Each and every one of them is just as important as the other, right? So let's start with listening, amigos. Listening is a passive skill, right? Let's start with the passive skill of listening. So when you listen, amigos, when you listen, you are, there's someone talking and it's distracting me. So I'm gonna move over here so I don't get distracted, because again, like I was telling you the other day, it's nice to create videos outside, but sometimes you just have to create the space for yourself, because there are other people that are also doing their thing and they are distracting, amigos, So maybe we can just sit here and keep on creating this video. So Where was I, Emil? Okay, listening, right? Listening. So listening, I always talk about music, right? Music is good. If you're listening to music already, if you have a playlist created already that you're playing every time you're working out, maybe when you're driving, that's cool. What else? When you're, walking your dog, maybe you're listening to music. That's great. It's a passive skill, and if you're doing all these things, great. Now, I have a new idea for you that you can also use to train your listening. I want you to go on YouTube and find short videos on YouTube about topics that you're interested in, right? You can watch so many videos on YouTube, but I want you to pick the ones that actually, pick your interest, the ones that you're actually curious about. For some people it's, video, travel videos, for other people are cooking videos, could be history videos, anything you want. Just make sure these are short YouTube videos, right? And again, topics that you are passionate about, topics that actually matter to you, right? And so you're watching these videos, you're listening to these videos, right? These shouldn't be long videos. Again, short, 5, 6 minutes, 7 minutes long videos. You should be watching this, right? Now, some of these videos, like the people speaking in these videos, of course, are native Spanish speakers. But what I want you to do is, if you feel like these videos are being too fast, like the speed, it's too fast, what you can do is you can reduce the speed on YouTube. This is something really useful that YouTube provides, right? You can reduce the speed and make it 75% maybe. That should be an ideal speed for you to listen, right? Maybe if it still feels too fast, you can even reduce it more, right? So there you go, amigos. That's a suggestion for you. And also, you should be watching these videos at least 4 times, right? The first time, do it with subtitles, right? Activate the subtitles on YouTube. Then the second time without subtitles. Then again with subtitles. And then the final time, at least 4 times, like I said. The 4th time, you should be watching it without subtitles. And because you've watched the same video 4 times, by the 4th time that you watch it, you should be able to understand and kind of remember some of the words that you've already watched, So that's the point. Repetition is what's gonna get you more confident and more aware of what's going on when you're watching these videos, right? So that's my suggestion, amigos. Watch short YouTube videos, reduce the speed if you feel like they're too fast, and also watch them with subtitles first and then without, back and forth 4 times. There you go, amigos. So hope that makes sense for you. And again, like I said, this is how we train listening, which is a passive skill, right? Now we move on to speaking. Now, speaking, like I said, speaking is an active skill, right? When you speak, when you use your voice, you're producing, right? So how do we train our speaking? Like I said, amigos, to train our speaking, if you've been following me for a while, you should already have a routine where you're recording your voice. You're making voice notes about your day, about maybe you want to talk about something that you're planning to do that day later on, something that you're looking forward to. Anything that you think about, anything that you want, you can create a voice note about that. Maybe a story about what happened to you that day, maybe something that you're looking forward to, like I said. Anything works. Anything helps. As long as your voice is being recorded and you're actually moving your mouth and using your voice to create something. That's the most important thing, right? Now, let me give you another example about what you can do for your voice. These guys, see, they're distracting. Their voice distract me, but it happens. It happens. I guess you can't help it, but anyways, so another thing you can do to train your speaking is to create video rants, like a selfie rant, just like, you grab your phone and you just talk about, things that are, exciting you that day. Maybe you want to talk about something that is on your mind and you just want to get it off your chest. And if you don't know what to say, this is another thing that, you may be struggling with, right? You don't need to have the perfect, rants. You don't need to have the perfect rants. You can talk about anything. You can even come up with just basic phrases that you learned yesterday that you want to, talk about and use, right? If you might have you may have memorized some phrases, but you haven't had the chance to use them. So this is your opportunity. You can use these phrases. Now, if you're at a more advanced level, you feel more confident, you can even talk about other things, like I said, selfie rants. Talk about your day, things that you're planning to do later on, things about, you want to do this weekend, perhaps, So, yeah, so that helps you. That should help you train your speaking, right? Now, another thing you can do, I think I've already said that. Yeah, the voice notes. You should already be recording your voice. Or if you don't want to do that, you can just talk to yourself. Like grab a mirror and just give yourself a pep talk. In Spanish, right? And if you don't know how to do that, you can always write everything that you want to say first, and then because you already have it, written down, you know what to say, right? You don't have to read it. Maybe you just come up with like a summary of everything that you wrote. At least one or two phrases should have stuck with you. Again, it's not about perfection, it's about trying at the beginning. The more you do this, the more ideas and the better you will feel the next time that you come back to it. So that's for speaking, amigos, okay? So see, we're very intentional about each skill. We already talked about how to train our listening, right? The short videos on YouTube. I gave you suggestions on what you can do for speaking. The next skill is reading, amigos, reading, right? And when you hear reading, maybe you think of books, right? But I'm here to remind you that reading doesn't only mean books. You can always find short articles on Google, right? You can Google short articles about anything that you want. Again, the topics or the content that you're reading should be content that you find interesting, right? Don't be reading stuff that is not interesting to you, right? If you're into cooking, read about cooking. If you're into traveling, find short articles about traveling. If you're into history, find articles about history, short articles about history. But you get the idea, amigos. You get the idea. These are the things that you should be looking for and consuming, right? And again, reading doesn't mean books only. It means that you can even find what's another thing that you can do for reading? You can even listen to music. You can listen to music while reading the lyrics of the songs that you're listening to. So you play the music and because you're reading the lyrics, that's also training your reading. And you're listening at the same time. But again, the suggestion that I had for you today was the articles, right? The short articles. There was another one that I can't think of right now. But yeah, you know what I mean, right? Another thing you can do, and that I highly encourage you to do, is to download ChatGPT and prompt it to create for you articles tailored to your level, right? You can just be like, download the app, download ChatGPT, and then prompt the artificial intelligence to create an article for you, tailored to your level. And you can be like, hey, create a short read on traveling for a Spanish learner, basic level or level 1. And then, ChatGPT will create it for you. And it'll be tailored to your level, which will make it easier for you. See? But again, the most important thing is that you are aware what you're doing. You are very conscious of what you're training, because you're doing this, you're training reading. I'm training reading right now, and the awareness is what's important, right? And then the same thing for listening. When you were watching these videos, YouTube videos, remember I said the short videos on YouTube, you're very conscious that you're training listening in that moment, right? And then for the speaking, when you're recording your voice, doing the selfie rants, again, you know what you're training. Then you move on to this one is reading, right? And I gave you an idea. You can find these short articles on YouTube. No, not on YouTube, on Google, or you can use artificial intelligence to create it. I think that's a very good alternative, in my opinion. And then the last one is writing, amigos. Okay, the writing is, you already know this. Writing is another very important skill, and now we know that it's also an active skill, opposed to listening or reading, right? The writing, just like speaking, is active, right? Because you're actually taking your time to process the information up here and then to write it, right? And again, before if you don't know what to say on these voice messages that you're creating, you can always just do the writing first before you actually say something, so that you have more of a structure, when you're making your selfie rants, and you already know what you're saying, right? But you put it into writing first. So for writing, of course, you should be using a journal. You should be using a journal. You should already have a journal where you're writing down, new words every day that you're learning, phrases that you're learning. Maybe you're translating the lyrics from some of your favorite songs. You're doing all these things and you're putting them into writing, right? When you write, you get to process more information in your brain, and some of these words are the ones that stick, and that's how you learn. That's how you can, next time you're in a conversation, you can use some of these words that stay with you because you took the time to write them. There you go, amigo. So now, those are the 4 skills that I am really big on when it comes to learning Spanish, right? If you can do them consistently and train each of them consistently, again, you don't need a lot of time. You can just give 5 to 10 minutes to each of these skills. 5 minutes to speaking, 5 minutes to listening, 5 minutes to writing, and 5 minutes to reading. That's all together is like 20 minutes, amigos. So do you think 20 minutes is a lot of time? I don't think so. So I know you can do this, and yeah, good luck, amigos. I'm sure you will somehow manage to start training all of these skills together. Make sure it's all of them, and don't overlook or don't ignore any. It needs to be all of them. Okay, and let me just finish with this. Consistency is more important than intensity, right? So it's not so much about how hard you go on a particular day, because some days we are, more motivated than others. Some days we have more energy than others. So, it's gonna be up and down. More important than the intensity is the consistency. So if you can do little bits every day, you should be good to go, and you should be making faster progress, if you stay with it, if you stay committed. Okay, anyways, amigos, hope this helps. If you're interested in my training, my courses, go to the description on this video and you'll find all the information there. Okay? So we'll see you next time. Nos vemos. Cuídense.